It's a short 30-minute presentation.
It's not. Before the intermission.
Help that turn on, Moses? I tried to turn that on. Did it turn on?
It just beeped. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we could stand for the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America, to the republic
For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the November regular meeting of the District 94 Board of Education. Mission statement, please.
Community High School strives to promote and provide growth experiences in learning, leadership, and living.
Thank you, Rich. Board agreements, please.
Board agreements, communicating with the media. A, the board president or designee is the spokesperson for the board to the media. B, the superintendent or designee is the spokesperson for the district to the media.
Thank you, Lynn. Roll call, please.
Ms. Casey Mayer,
Here.
Mr. Amos,
Present via phone due to health reasons.
Ms. Munoz,
Here.
Mr. Nagel,
Present.
Mr. Sake,
Present.
Mr. Zuniga, and Mr. Brown.
Here. Okay, that brings us to public hearing on the 2022 tax levy as per required by the Truth in Taxation Act. Overview of the tax levy.
What does that say? Okay, thank you. So here we can see how the budget and the tax levy are connected. One can't happen without the other in this annual process. And again, FYI, this is basically the same presentation that was given in October. So just an FYI. So what is the tax levy? The tax levy is the amount of money the district requests to meet our anticipated needs, which includes salaries, benefits, maintenance, and curriculum needs. And what is a tax rate? That is the tax rate that is a calculation of the total tax levy divided by all the property owners' EAV. The tax rate is then used to determine levy dollars across all property owners. In 1991, the Illinois General Assembly passed the PTEL law, better known as the tax cap law. This initially only affected those collar counties around Cook County, but was also extended to Cook County in 1995. Since then, it has been extended to 39 of the Illinois' 102 counties. As noted here, the tax cap does not cap property tax assessments or individual tax bills. It does, however, cap the rate of increase for the government entities and allows for taxes on new property or new construction. This will be the first year in a long time that the PTEL will be utilized as CPI is over 5%. So as I just noted, the PTEL limits the increase from year to year to the lesser of 5% or CPI. New construction is in addition to the lesser of 5% or CPI. As we know, CPI this year was 7%, so it will be limited to that 5%. With new construction, our increase will be over the limit, and as such, a truth in taxation hearing is required. With this requirement, a notice was published in the paper, and a public hearing is being held tonight. To calculate the levy, we need to know 4 things: the prior year levy extension, the consumer price index, or CPI, the current year equalized assessed value, and new property and or new construction. As you can see, we only know 2 of these items. In order to get the best estimates possible, I inquire with the Wayne and Winfield assessors to get estimates on new construction and the increase to EAV. I've inquired with those local assessors and received those estimates. One of the items that we do know is CPI, or the Consumer Price Index. Here is a 10-year history of CPI. We use the December 2021 value for our calculations, which is noted at 7%. Even with 7% CPI, CPI still has a 10-year average of only 2.15%. Due to PTEL not including new construction, our extension cannot be more than 5% than the prior year. As we look towards next year's December CPI, it is still trending to be more than 5%. As I've noted, one of the other estimates is new construction. Winfield and Wayne Township assessors have provided estimates for the new construction. The original estimate for new construction was $27.8 million for this year. I've confirmed the estimates from the assessors, and the revised estimate has been reduced to $26.1 million, which will obviously reduce the tentative tax levy presentation I provided in October. Overall, new construction has dramatically increased over the past few years. With the new construction at the DuPage Technology Park continuing and new residential areas being built, I expect that we will continue to see higher than normal new construction next year as well. One of the ways we estimate the change in EAV is to look at prior years and the trends, as well as talking with our local assessors. This chart represents the community's EAV history and its change from year to year. As you can see from the blue bars, the EAV continues to increase at a steady rate, and that change is represented by the red dotted line, just under 7%. According to our local assessors, we should have an average of around 4% this year. This chart does include new properties in its EAV. Reporting fund balances or cash reserves are a newly required section of the school code when discussing the levy. These are the cash and fund balances as of June 30th, 2022, as reported on our audited financial statements. Since we report our balances under the cash basis of accounting, our cash and fund balances are basically the same. Ed fund is just under the $16 million. Operations and maintenance fund at $3.4 million. Transportation fund is at about $1.3 million. This chart provides the annual increases to the tax levy extensions. As you look at this chart, realize that the years start at 2022 on the left and go down as you go to the right. Recent increases are mainly due to the new construction, which accounts for around 2.5% of these increases each year. If CPI was only at 2.9 this year, we would still have to do a truth in taxation hearing, as we would be over 5% with the new construction. Now that we have a little background of what goes into the tax levy, we'll talk about the current levy request. The request is $28.6 million and is based on a 5% increase for CPI and $26.1 million for new construction and no balloon levy. As you recall, the tentative levy presented in October was an increase of 7.08%. The change to the new construction estimate lowers this request to a 6.95% increase over last year's extension. Based on the estimates, I expect the extension to be finalized closer to $28.5 million, based on the 4% EAV increase and the $26.1 million in new construction. If we break this down a little further, based on the prior year extension, one of our knowns, multiplied by the CPI, another known, this equals the $1.3 million. So based on CPI, the district's request would be an additional $1.3 million over last year's extension. Next, calculate the new property or new construction. We take the estimated new construction of $26.1 million times the limiting rate, which is 1.9976%. So with new construction, the district's request is an additional $521,000 over last year's extension. As agreed upon by all taxing bodies in West Chicago, tax abatements will be issued for most of the new construction built into DuPage Technology Park. For purposes of the tax levy, we still request the full amount of the new construction, but for actual receipts, the tax abatements will reduce the extension by about $500,000. Putting this all together, we come up with $28.6 million as the expected 2022 extension. Again, for actual receipts, I expect this to be closer to $28.5 million. The estimated impact to taxpayers for this extension is dependent on the AAV for each taxpayer's property and the overall EAV in District 94's boundary and that tax rate. A taxpayer with a home value of $275,000 and District 94's current tax rate would see an increase of about $35 per year. Some of the reasons for the levy request includes that Hacer funding will end after FY24. We still have many salaries, stipends, and SEL supports for students that are being paid by Hacer funding. We have over $19 million in facility needs, as noted in our recent facility plan, and this does not include any additional special projects that the district may need in the future. I also suspect that we'll be moving to Tier 2 for evidence-based funding in the next couple of years, which will dramatically reduce our annual increase to EBF. Additionally, at some point in time, the corporate property replacement tax will come down to its normal level, and these are just a few of the reasons for the request. Here is that calculation page for the levy. As you can see, that's at 6.95%. This information is posted on our website under the business office and proposed 2022 tax levy. And then limiting that request to 5% would result in $521,000 less than allowed, which would never be recaptured again, as the next year's extension will be based on this year's extension. Timetable that we have followed, that public notice was posted on November 4th, which is in the required window of 7 to 14 days, and then we have the public hearing scheduled tonight. Once approved, it will deliver to the county clerk before the last Tuesday of the month in December. Any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. That brings us to any public comment on the 2022 tax levy. Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, at this point, we're going to the 2022 tax levy request for approval. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the resolution establishing the 2022 tax levy for the taxes collected in 2023, the resolution to levy certain taxes, to waive their full reading, to authorize the Board President and Secretary to execute the requisite documents, and all said documents.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Amos?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Zuniga?
Aye.
Okay, we have a tax levy. That brings us to Student of the Month.
Okay, we have Jimena Valenciano Serna, named for October Student of the Month. West Chicago, you can still stay standing. West Chicago Community High School has selected Jimena Valenciano Serna of West Chicago as Student of the Month for October 2022. Jimena was selected by her teachers, who said there is no student at West Chicago Community High School like Serna. In addition to being an outstanding student who demonstrates nothing but respect and diligence in the classroom, Jimena is a senior service officer in National Honor Society. Last year, Jimena earned the United Nations Ambassador Award for 100+ hours of community service. She created cards for students in the hospital and painted inspirational messages on rocks and left them at Reed Kepler Park to brighten people's days. Now she is leading other students, encouraging them to give back to the community and go above and beyond what is expected of them. A senior, Jimena has been on high honor roll every semester of her high school career, earning a cumulative weighted grade point average of 5.075. She is the service officer of National Honor Society and a member of the French Honor Society. Jimena has been involved in We Go Global, International Club, Interact Club, Girls Who Code, and Olaaz Club. She is a student ambassador and a caucus leader for her government class. She is also on the executive board for Women's Leadership, organizing events and fundraisers. Jimena has focused her time outside of the classroom on preparing for college, completing applications, financial aid, and scholarships to ensure a successful path to her future. When asked about her favorite high school memory, Jimena said, "My favorite memory so far has been the movie night during homecoming week, because I had a very good time with my friends and made a ton of new friends. The night was full of laughter, pictures, and snacks, and I was surrounded by a group of people which I am very grateful to have met at WeGo." Jimena has this advice for future Wildcats. In all circumstances, live every day like it's your last. Stay positive, smile, try your best every day, and never give up. Whenever you have a goal in mind, stay centered and never doubt yourself. Anybody is capable of accomplishing a dream as long as they remain consistent, focused, and determined. No matter how long it takes, never give up. After graduation, Jimena plans to major in either biomedical engineering, influenced by her human anatomy class, or neuroscience and psychiatry due to her interest in scientific and behavioral functions of the brain. Congratulations, Jimena.
Congratulations, Jimena. Very well done. And that brings us to good news of the district.
This month's good news of the district is the WeGo Global Club. WeGo Global was founded in 2013 by WeGo grad Natalie Schwell, now Natalie Smith. The club focuses on social justice issues, both within the U.S. as well as globally, and has raised well over $20,000 to help provide shelter, clean water, food, education, and fund gender equity initiatives worldwide. This year, the club's focus is gun violence prevention in schools. Through their efforts, they have worked to provide a voice for students who are frustrated with inaction in our society regarding school violence by providing an outlet for positive change. To educate the entire WeGo community about gun violence, the club created a victim wall in the humanities wing in memory of Americans killed by gun violence this year. They also created Instagram posts to educate the school community and raised over $1,300 for the Sandy Hook Promise Foundation and partnered with State Representative Maura Hirschauer to draft legislation on safe gun storage. Most recently, WeGo Global partnered with the Dean's Office to implement school safety lessons in all dens this month. The club's passion and accomplishments are inspiring and have created a great educational opportunity for student and staff collaboration on one of the most important issues facing America today. The board would like to recognize the following members of the WeGo Global's leadership: Eros Avila, Melanie Balanes, Judith Benitez, Eric Diaz, Melanie Duran, Effie Gianno I'm going to mess this up. Gianno Dakos. She's not here. Okay, well then, I'm glad she didn't hear that. Angie Jacobo. Areli Jacobo. Ishan Patel. Rory Rudin. Sam Rutledge. Lauren Sikma. TJ Tipton. Mia Velikat. And Dan Zenteno. Thanks to the Executive Board and club members for your leadership and commitment.
Well done, We Go Global. You are a credit to our school.
Agreed.
And that brings us to public participation. This is the portion of our meeting where any member of the public can address the Board of Education on any topic. We welcome your comments and will carefully listen to your concerns. We will not be able to engage in a dialogue during public participation, but when appropriate, we'll direct the administration to follow up. Presentations are limited to no more than 5 minutes per person, with a total time limit of 30 minutes for public participation. Personal charges or complaints against individual employees, volunteers, or students of the district should not be initiated during public comment. And we have one electronically submitted public comment from Maria Reyes.
Okay, I will read this both in Spanish and then translate to English for anyone who's here to listen. El tema es la falta de comunicación con los padres hispanos sobre la tendencia de nuestros hijos. Los comentarios. En ningún momento me han llamado para decirme que ya no va a la escuela. Cuando yo voy y lo dejo en la puerta, necesito que me enseñen las cámaras a dónde se va mi hijo. Y también cuando me llaman es hasta las 7 de la noche y yo le pregunto al niño y me dice, sí fui. No hay una buena comunicación entre ustedes y yo no me siento seguro al dejar a mi hijo ahí en la escuela. Quiero ver las cámaras, por favor. The translation of that, at no time have they called me to tell me that he is no longer going to school when I go and leave him at the door. I need them to show me the cameras where my son goes, and also when they call me, it's up to 7 o'clock at night, and I ask my son, and he says, yes, I went. There's not good communication between you all, and I don't feel safe leaving my son at school. I want to see the cameras, please. And that's all.
Okay, and at this point, it looks like we have no more public left in the room, so I would guess that's the end of public participation for tonight. Let's see here. All right, that brings us to reports and information. Superintendent's report.
Good evening. There are a few items to share with the board tonight. With regards to FOIA, the district did receive one FOIA request from Cheryl Moore requesting supporting documentation, which would include agenda, minutes, etc., from BPAC meetings where their dates must be on or before September 30th, 2021 for the 21-22 school year, and for BPAC meetings where the dates must be on or before September 30th, 2020 for the 2021 school year. At table, you have a folder with information for the III conference. The information includes hotel confirmation numbers as well as your conference badge. Please also note that we have a dinner sponsored by DLA on Friday night at 6:30 p.m. And for last item, today is Illinois School Board Member Day, and I wanted to take this time to say thank you to each of you for being our school board members, for the volunteer work that you do for the students and staff of District 94. I want to read an excerpt from the Illinois School Board Association that summarizes the work of school boards. School Board Members Day is an occasion to recognize school board members who serve as unpaid volunteers for the benefit of the students and the community. Board members work in tandem with the district stakeholders to create quality learning opportunities for each and every student, meeting challenges head-on and by working as a team to support our shared educational vision. We come together when faced with difficulties, and we celebrate together when we triumph. So with that, thank you again for your volunteer efforts, time, and energy, and please enjoy the treats and gift cards that are at table for you as a token of our appreciation for your dedication to District 94. Kathy, I will somehow get those to you, so don't worry, we're not going to eat them here. If you have to dig into the treats, we do have decaf coffee and forks over there at the side of the room here. And then lastly, I want to take this time to recognize board members who achieved recognition through the Illinois Association of School Boards. We have 3 board members who have received over 400 points through continued participation at IASB workshops, assemblies, trainings, and conferences, and are therefore identified as being a distinguished board leader. Those board members are And Kathy Doremus, you are also being recognized. I will get the certificate to you as well, somehow. And Bob Brown.
Beyond the distinguished board leader recognition, if a board member has served on school boards for 25 or more years, they are named Legacy Board Leaders and given a special award. One of our own, Rich Nagel, has served on the District 94 board for the last 29 years. I'm pleased to present Rich with the Illinois Association of School Boards Legacy Board Leader Award. He is one of the first in the state to win this award. Congratulations.
It's very heavy.
It's a heavy-duty award.
And with that, I conclude my report.
All right, that brings us to Director of Business Services.
Just a few updates. Well, an update on Blue Point. Blue Point is on track with their original schedule. They have completed installation of the strobes and pull station mounts. They're scheduled to install the pull stations tomorrow, as well as test the system. The testing is not expected to disrupt the school day tomorrow. We have administrator training scheduled for next week. So again, we're on track with that installation. The business office is always looking for ways to improve efficiency and improve on our processes. One of the areas that we've been looking into includes how to increase our P-card rebate. Currently, our P-card program provides a 1% rebate on our credit card purchases. From various conferences and discussions with colleagues at other districts, we found that Capital One has a higher P-card rebate program and can also provide an option for electronic payment to vendors. With that information, we requested a meeting with Capital One to discuss their P-card program and electronic payment. The Capital One program will provide a larger rebate, closer to 2%, and more opportunities for rebates. And as such, our intent is to move forward with Capital One. A quick update on the buses. We met with Illinois Central again on last Friday to discuss how they can improve services. This is the fourth meeting that we've had with them. For this meeting, we requested that the regional manager also be in attendance. Overall, morning routes have improved. We still have some concerns with the afternoon pickup. We again told them the importance of buses being at the school by 3 p.m. each day. We average around 4 to 6 buses out of the 14 buses arriving before 3 p.m. every day. Another 5 to 6 buses arrive before 3:10, and then the remaining buses arrive and are all gone by 3:15 or so. At yesterday's dismissal, Illinois Central sent their safety manager and district manager to observe the dismissal. Yesterday was a vast improvement for most days, as we had 7 buses at 3 p.m. and all buses were gone by about 3:10. They noted that they continue to hire more drivers. They currently have 11 drivers either behind the wheel or testing. I expect that Illinois Central will continue to improve their routes over the next couple of weeks. That concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Dan. That brings us to Human Resources.
Great. I just have a brief report for you this evening. The first item I'd like to share with the board is the Appendix B recommendation that you'll find in your packet. The Appendix B committee met to discuss a drama sponsorship that had been under review this fall, pending information that we were awaiting from the state. The committee now recommends the addition of an assistant sponsor for IHSA drama for the 22-23 school year. What we learned is that the IHSA is now committed to continuing this program that was under review for some time, and we now know that our participation numbers remain steadily between 20 to 30 students annually competing in IHSA drama, group interpretation, and short film. Based on these numbers, as well as the competitions both that we host and attend, there is a clear need for an assistant sponsor. Please do note, though, that this recommendation is for the current school year only. We're going to review again based on our ability to fill and other factors to determine if a permanent position is appropriate and should be recommended once we review again next fall. This position will not require any additional funds, but rather is an allocation of funds from our unfilled assistant director for the winter play and spring musical. Finally, I am excited to share with the board that the district has committed to partnering with North Central College in the development of a pathway program for paraprofessional educators to earn their teacher licensure. NCC reached out to District 94, District 33, and East Aurora District 131, knowing how beneficial a Grow Your Own program would be for the needs of our communities. This pathway program is just in the initial stages, meaning that they are still gathering survey data from our employees and applying for grants, but NCC is hopeful that they'll be able to launch as soon as the fall of 2024. A lot of our discussion so far has centered around finding ways to meet the needs of our paraeducators, financially and otherwise, to make sure that a degree in licensure is attainable, that that's something within reach for them. There's certainly a lot of value to giving opportunities for advancement to this really important segment of our staff and tapping into their teaching potential. So I will keep the board apprised as this program develops. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Julie, and that is very exciting news. Principal's report.
Thank you. Yesterday marked the kickoff of American Educator Appreciation Week. To show our gratitude to our world-class staff, we have adopted a global travel theme because we believe our staff are the best in the world. Each day this week, we are showing our appreciation with small tokens of gratitude to every Wildcat staff member based on that theme. Athletics update. Tonight, I'd like to first congratulate our fall athletes and coaches for a very successful season. But I also want to take a moment to review some data from the past 5 years that I think shows a very positive trend for our athletic programming. This is the number of participants in fall sports over the last 5 seasons. As you can see, prior to the COVID pandemic in the fall of 2018 and the fall of 2019, we had very high numbers with lots of participation. As we also remember, the fall of 2020 actually took place in the winter of 2021 with some very odd, truncated, and oddly placed seasons per the IHSA, and for a lot of very obvious reasons, our participation really bottomed out, as did many other schools in the area. I really want to congratulate and thank our athletic department headed by Mr. Pater, as well as Assistant Athletic Director Mr. Perry and Ms. Campos for their great work as we see the rebound in our numbers over the last few years. They continue to articulate and recruit and encourage. I also want to thank our coaches for the work they do to create great experiences that our athletes want to be a part of and who continue to work day in and day out. Mostly, though, I also want to thank the board for the dedication and investment that you've continually made over the past years as we continue to grow and expand our extracurricular opportunities. And I think the rebound that we are having from what could have been a really deleterious moment in our extracurricular program is really showing. And I believe that we'll continue to grow our numbers and have more and more WeGo students participating in our extracurricular programs. As an update to the board on the MOU that we signed with the College of DuPage earlier this year, myself, Mr. Egan from Student Services, and Ms. Hanley Henschel from the Counseling Department had a check-in meeting with leaders from College of DuPage earlier today. The leaders represented the Counseling, Admissions, and Financial Aid departments from COD. We were able to tentatively plan second semester events dedicated in those 3 areas, but specifically tailored to WeGo students. The outcome of this partnership is to bring the experience that used to require traveling to COD right into the students' schools so admissions and articulation are streamlined. This MOU is really exciting, and it's already bearing a lot of fruit for our students, and I'm very excited about the second semester events we have planned. Tomorrow, I will be attending a focus group through the Regional Office of Education led by Dr. Lourdes Ferrer on identifying root causes of chronic truancy and helping develop new approaches to supporting students and families who struggle with regular school attendance. I'm looking forward to the brainstorming and hearing what other districts are doing as well. And finally, you have the latest attendance and discipline data in your packet. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Will. That brings us to committee and representative reports. Any update from SACID? Okay, future dates. The IASB-IASA IASBO Joint Annual Conference is this weekend, November 18th through the 20th. There will not be a committee of the whole meeting on December 6th. That has been canceled. The next board meeting is the regular Board of Education meeting on December 20th. At this point, any open comment from board members?
I just want to say there was a tribute to a band director from District 33 the other day, but it was really awesome to see a lot of current D94 students that came to that event, and they played mariachi in tribute of the band director. So it was a good number of students, and it was really awesome to see how the community was together for such an awesome.
Nice example of some connectivity between the districts. That's a good thing. Any other board member comments?
Did the play over the weekend, and as usual, it was a wonderful presentation. Still just so amazed and proud of the quality of students and the work that our instructors do for them.
Any other comments? Any future issues that we'd like to talk about in a future board meeting? All right, that brings us to consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action? Hearing none, I would move approval of the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes for the regular open session Board of Education meeting from October 18th, the Committee of the Whole open session meeting from November 1st, the Committee of the Whole closed session from November 1st, and the approval of financials, which includes approved current expenditures, impressed fund statement, treasurer's report, statement of position and financial report, statement of revenue expenditures year-to-date ending September 30th, 2020. That should be 2022, correct? It says 2020.
Yeah, that's correct. Should be 2022.
Okay, 2022. 3-year budget / actual report, grant reports, petty cash fund report, student activity fund account fund balance, new vendors monthly report, quarterly financial reports, and board conference travel expenses, and the personnel report.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Let me see here. Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Zuniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Okay, there being no old business, that brings us to new business. First item is energy contract authorization. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education authorize administration to enter into and execute an electricity and natural gas index agreement solicited by our consultant, Intel LLC, with an adder that does not exceed 0.0055 per kilowatt hour, 0.035 per therm, with the ability to convert to a fixed rate not to exceed 0.05877 per kilowatt hour and 0.687 per therm. Any discussion?
Just real quickly, do we have an idea what the total impact of this is per year?
Yeah, he's estimating a 35 to 40% increase from last year. So yeah, it will be a sizable increase, and this kind of a contract with the board's approval tonight will allow us to at least try to keep that as low as possible.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Zuniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
And Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Okay, that brings us to wayfinding signs. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the quote from ASI Signage Innovations, Chicago, Illinois, in the amount not to exceed $24,395, which includes design and installation.
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
Mr. Zuniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
And Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
That brings us to Fieldhouse and Athletic Hallway Flooring Replacement. The recommended motion that the Board of Education approve the TIPS Purchasing Cooperative Proposal from Kiefer USA, Lindenhurst, Illinois, for the installation of Mondo Advanced Vulcanized 8mm Resilient Athletic Flooring in the field house and wrestling room, and the installation of Mondo Valor 10mm Resilient Athletic Flooring in the athletic hallway in the amount of $730,250, which includes painted game lines, volleyball, long jump, pit, and pole vault covers, and the removal of tile flooring in the wrestling room and hallway.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is that tile got asbestos?
No.
We're clear on that?
Yes.
Good.
Good question.
Secondary, have we done due diligence on the supplier, on the installers?
On Kiefer USA?
Yeah.
Kiefer USA, we have dozens of installations that they've done over the last couple of years, including Glenbard, Winfield Park District. We went over to Winfield Park District, check out that floor, and asked them about the installation process, and everything was very smooth. We definitely dotted our I's and crossed our T's here.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Zuniga?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Amos?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
And Mr. Sake.
Aye.
And that brings us to Appendix B recommendation. The recommended motion is that the Board of Education approve the Appendix B recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Aye.
Mr. Amos?
Aye.
Ms. Munoz?
Aye.
Mr. Nagel?
Aye.
Mr. Sake?
Aye.
And Mr. Zuniga.
Aye.
All right, that concludes our business for open session. We will be going into executive session for the purposes of collective negotiating matters. We will not be taking any action after the executive session. So is there a motion to go into executive session for collective negotiating matters?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Back.
Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, one of the things that needed to be signed was an incumbency certificate with a note that says, have Dan explain. Is that something you need to explain to the whole board or just to the people that have to sign it?
I can explain it to the whole board if you like. That's for the copier lease, and we use American Capital for that lease, and they have a guideline that no matter how big or little the change is, that if we add a finisher to a copier, that they want at least like Rich, the secretary, to be able to sign that, so that that would basically give me the authority to kind of make that minimal change if need be. And so that's all that is.